The Rangers take game one in Houston of the ALCS on today's show, breaking down how the Rangers shut out the Astros in game one and took a commanding one-game lead in Houston. Talk about all that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on to the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 10 seasons, including all 5 as the founder and host of Locked On Rangers. Tonight is Sunday, October 15th. Your Rangers are still undefeated in the playoffs after taking game one of the ALCS in Houston against those stinking Houston Astros. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day, especially those of you who are joining live on YouTube. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to listen every single day as your Rangers keep winning every single day, and to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, before we get into today's show about the Rangers shutting out the Houston Astros in a 2-0 win in game one of the ALCS, this episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, there were a lot of things that happened in this game. For a 2-0 game, it felt like it was incredibly eventful. And the thing that I had to start out with is Evan freaking Carter. Oh my goodness, this kid is unreal. What this kid is doing at this level, at this stage, with his level of experience. Just a month ago, it was maybe a little bit more than a month ago, he was called up to the big leagues for the first time, the little savior, doing everything the Rangers have asked of him and then some, defensively, offensively, on the base paths, in the locker room, in the media room. Like, whatever the Rangers are asking of this kid, he is delivering and over delivering time and time again. And oh, by the way, yeah, he's just 21 years old. By the way, this was his first game against Houston Astros. Have yourself a freaking day. Have yourself a freaking day, Evan Carter, with the biggest play of the game, which came in the 8th inning with Aroldis Chapman on the hill, a moment that I was dreading more than I've dreaded just about anything in my life. Is, of course, the place that has been not only a haunted house of horror, just like the most haunted house that you could ever imagine. Like, not a haunted house with like goofy little, funky things of, ooh, here's a guy in a mask. It's like, ooh, here's the love of your life that broke your heart, who is also hanging out with the boss that ruined your life, and like everything that's ever gone wrong in your entire life in one house. That's what kind of haunted house of horrors Houston and Minute Maid Park has been for Aroldis Chapman. And what does he do? He comes in, does not face Jose Altuve. Thank God. I don't even care that Josh Sborz walked him, but he faces off against Alex Bregman, and Bregman hits the absolute snot out of baseball to left field, a place that is very difficult to play left field. And Evan Carter, my brother in my group chat, who's not a huge baseball fan, shout out to Bradley, was asking like, wait, Evan Carter's never played left field? And I'm like, no, he's played like 40 to like 80 games out there. And it turns out he actually hasn't played as many games in left field as I thought. In the majors, he's played 18 games in left field, but in the minors, he only played 20 games in left field. And I'm pretty sure most, if not all of those came this year, which is absolutely bonkers. Like, absolutely bonkers. In all years in the majors and minors, he played 191 games in center field, just 38 in left, all levels combined, and 14 games in right field. Just absolutely bonkers. And this is a difficult left field to play. And shout out to him for crediting Robbie Grossman on the post-game interview, talking about, yeah, Robbie played here for a long time, so I was picking his brain. We were just throwing balls off the wall. And, it's just like, nope, that's not phased. It's the 8th inning and whatever. And the moment of the game was not only making a catch up against the wall on a line drive hit by Alex Bregman, but Jose Altuve making a boneheaded mistake in the playoffs. That is not something you see very often. I am not going to add a boy Altuve at all. Nope. I respect Jose Altuve. Altuve, that was a great play. You know what? I respect you. I'm not going to give you any more fuel. I hope the Rangers don't add a boy anybody. We don't want to see an NLDS redo on that, because there is no way that Jose Altuve needs any more motivation at all. But Jose Altuve was at first base and he ran past second base and got his feet all tangled up when Evan Carter made the catch and did not retouch second base. And Evan Carter threw it in to second base where I believe it was Marcus Semien that stepped on the bag, because they didn't really show it in real time, but they were kind of talking about it, why it was taking so long to get on to the next play. Like, oh, the Rangers actually got a challenge that Jose Altuve didn't go back and touch second base after going past it, and he crossed his feet up, and he actually didn't. You could see it on the replay. It's very clear as day that Jose Altuve did not touch back up at second base. And then here it comes to face Jordan Alvarez, and he gets Jordan Alvarez to ground out to Nathaniel Lowe at first base. Bing, bang, boom. The Rangers are out of the inning with a 2-0 lead. And Evan Carter also started the day off with a double, a super heady play, hitting that ball just barely past the first baseman into right field, and just kind of lightly jogged to first base, and then made Kyle Tucker just lightly jog to go get the ball, and then turned the freaking jets on it. I mean, I can't believe it, but I knew Evan Carter was fast, but I thought that Leody Taveras was going to be much faster than him. But it turns out that Evan Carter is actually the fastest dude on this team, and is the second time he's done this on a ball that was hit just barely past the first base and turning that into a double with his elite speed. He did that against Tampa Bay as well, and I believe it was game 1 or 2 of the wild card series. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but this is the kind of player that he is. He steps up on the big stage, smile as bright as the sun, talking to Ken freaking Rosenthal after a game 1 win, the first game he ever plays against the Houston Astros. And I saw a few Astros fans just tweeting about how, like, I want Evan Carter jailed. I can't stand this guy already. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. They've got this guy. Yeah, he's going to do that to you for years and years to come, making them squirm. I kind of compared him to Kyle Tucker. That was the comp that I kind of had coming up, which, might seem like an insult, but I have the most respect for Kyle Tucker. He's one of the more underrated players in the game. He's a very, very good baseball player that's very good at like everything. But I mean, I don't love player comps because usually they're not fair. And I've heard someone trying to compare Evan Carter to Josh Hamilton. But no. Evan Carter's not Josh Hamilton. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's the most physically gifted man who has maybe ever played the sport of baseball, probably outside of Shohei Ohtani. And Evan Carter doesn't have that 1,000 grade raw power. The speed he's got incredible plate discipline, which Josh Hamilton never really had, which is fine. He's a different player, and I know he's wearing 32, and that's great, and he's doing it in the playoffs, which is great. But he's not Josh Hamilton. Don't put that on that man. That's not fair. But the things he has done to step up in this postseason, down the stretch, in every single moment, is what stars do. This is what young stars do. Oh, and remember, he's 21 years old. Like we're going to keep saying for the next, 10 months, because he has only been 21 for a couple of months. He's going to be 21 nearly all of next year, where he will be the front runner for AL Rookie of the Year, unless people want to make some, silly odds for whoever else in baseball might come up there. I could hear an argument for Wyatt Langford. Maybe I could hear an argument for Jackson Holiday. Not really. I couldn't, but I would humor you because I'm a generous person. But Evan Carter just stepping up in the biggest way on the biggest stage is so incredibly impressive. I mean, he's got all the baseball talent in the world, but the head on his shoulders is almost more impressive. Like to have that level of like self-assuredness, self-confidence is honestly unreal. This kid, I am so happy that he is doing this. I have been a huge believer in him for a while. I didn't like the pick initially because, again, I didn't know a darn thing about him because I'm not a scout. I'm not driving out to Elizabethton, Tennessee to watch an 18-year-old play for a couple of games in 2020. I just wasn't doing that. And then the reports I heard from him from the second he started in the Arizona or in the complex, or just in Arizona, whenever everyone was doing during 2020, when he first stepped onto the backfield, everyone was like, whoa, this kid's special. This might be the best kid in all of the Rangers minor leagues from the second they drafted him as an 18-year-old. That's just nuts. given what he did in his first year in minor league ball, being an 18-year-old, and tearing it up for the 30 games he played there. And then the next year, there's just the insane level of play discipline and just baseball instincts and acumen is just absolutely nuts. That is not something you see very often. It is not something that's normal. It is something that should be like very much appreciated because it is a rarity. Evan Carter is a rarity. There is not another Evan Carter out there. And thank God he is on the Texas freaking Rangers for years and years to come. Coming up, we're going to look at a little bit of what the rest of this offense did, why their game plan was kind of surprising, even though it wasn't as effective as I thought it might be, and Jordan Montgomery's absolutely masterful performance in Houston. But first, this word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events should not be easy. With Gametime, you have a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can get some last-minute tickets for maybe the ALCS if you're wanting to, maybe you'll have to get Game 3 or Game 4. Maybe you won't be able to get Game 5 because the Rangers might just keep on winning and turn this thing into a sweep. Or maybe you'll be looking for some last minute tickets for the World Series. If the Rangers get there, they just got 7 more wins to get there. They could absolutely do that. But Gametime can get you tickets to any games, whether it's Stars that are starting up there in season now. The Mavericks are playing games. The Cowboys also play games. Not quite as exciting as the Rangers, but get in on the action. With zone deals, you can pick your section, and Gametime picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'm thinking I'll talk about Game 2 because the Rangers take on the Astros in the ALCS Game 2 tomorrow afternoon. I'll be also going live on YouTube right after that. Nathan Eovaldi on the Hill. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, this game could have broken open a little bit more in that early in this game. I believe it was the second inning where the Rangers, they scored their 1 run, and it could have been a little bit more. They had bases loaded, 2 outs, and Marcus Semien. He just missed his pitch multiple times, had a pretty good at bat, and there was a couple of pitches, one that he got just under that was just right down the middle of the plate that I thought he was absolutely going to crush. There were a lot of pitches by Justin Verlander that were pretty much hanging cookies, meatballs that, one of them was taken advantage of. Finally, the Rangers got a run later on in this game against Justin Verlander, and that was by Leody freaking Taveras. What a game for him, reaching base all 3 times he got to the plate. A single, he had a home run, and a 4-pitch walk against Justin Verlander. This guy has been insane this postseason, hitting .333 with a .964 OPS in the postseason. And by the way, the Rangers number 8 hitter hitting .391 with an 1139 OPS in the postseason. Also had a couple strikeouts. Josh Young really getting absolutely just hosed tremendously in the postseason, in the regular season, on these calls low and away that just keep going against him. And the next at bat after that called strike 3 that should not have been called strike 3, that was just given because it's Justin Verlander, here you go, here's a strikeout that you don't really need. And that was the pitch before Leody Taveras hit that home run. So it was incredibly frustrating. Could have been a 3-0 game, could have been a little bit less stressful down the stretch, but hey, it didn't matter. The Astros didn't score a single run because the Rangers pitching game plan was phenomenal. But this Rangers offense, they have been really good. And the thing they did so well against the Orioles is they worked that pitch count. They worked those pitchers relentlessly, drove them out of the game early, got to them early. They were a lot younger, a lot more inexperienced than Justin Verlander. Actually, none of the starters had any postseason experience, but hey, they were all right pitchers, and they had better stuff than Justin Verlander, but Justin Verlander knows that once you get him in a groove, he is hard to get out of it, even if he is hanging some pitches that should have been hittable. But the Rangers were super aggressive early in counts in this one. I mean, Justin Verlander got through the Rangers order the first time on 20 pitches. It was nuts. The Rangers were swinging at the first pitch early and often because that was the game plan. And they had some success. They got a few base hits. They got the early run on him and got the bases loaded, but just were not quite able to get him out of this game, get to him early. And because of that, he went 6 2/3 innings, just allowed 2 runs in those 6 2/3 innings. And in comes Hector Neris. He's perfect. And then in comes Brian Abreu. I think the Rangers making Brian Abreu pitch in a game where the Astros lost is a huge advantage for them. Because, I mean, we saw Abreu stuff. He's as lethal as a guy in anybody's bullpen left in these playoffs. I mean, he's right up there with Johan Duran, like just absolutely insane stuff for Brian Abreu. And the Rangers struck out a couple times against him, and it didn't look particularly close. But again, I was kind of surprised at this Rangers offense going away from the thing that they did so well in making these pitchers work and trying to get to them early, because, that's something that they'd had success with. And it's something that you're going to need. You're going to need to work this Astros bullpen. I think they'll have more success with it in the later games against Framber Valdez. They've had a lot of success against him. Verlander, despite not having his elite stuff, still knows how to pitch in the postseason, knows how to get himself into a groove. And if you do not get to him early, you do not get to him. This is a Hall of Famer. This is a really good pitcher. And if the Rangers can pull off a sweep, which would be really, really nice, don't know if it's necessarily likely, they could avoid having to see Justin Verlander once. But winning the game, one of my 5 keys to this series and taking the series was win the games with Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi. And more leaning towards the game. I was more leaning towards game 2 with Nathan Eovaldi versus Framber Valdez, because beating Justin Verlander in the playoffs is very, very difficult. And getting to this Houston bullpen is very, very difficult, which is why I was so nervous with just 2 runs in this game. Is you don't have a whole lot of margin for error. There is not a whole lot of margin for error for your relievers, for your starters, for your anything. And, credit to this Rangers offense, they do enough. That is what they do every single time. They have done enough in these games to get themselves wins, whether they need to score 11 runs, whether they need to score 2, whether they need to score 3, 4, 6, however many they scored in the last game. I think it was 7. It was 7 because the low shot made it 7. They do enough to win these games. And it was a great offensive day for Jonah Heim, getting an RBI single to drive in Evan Carter. Also had a very, very good walk later on in this game where the Rangers were expanding the zone a little bit and could have been a little bit more selective and maybe force Justin Verlander out of there a little bit earlier. But hey, he did his job. And again, Jonah Heim calling a great, great game. I mean, my goodness, Jonah Heim is just one of a freaking kind. I know he hasn't homered yet in this postseason. I don't even think he has an extra base hit. He's hitting 250 with a 558 OPS in this postseason, which is not great, but he's Jonah Heim. He's an all-star starting catcher. He is a wizard behind the plate, calling games, calling this game, blocking pitches in the dirt, sequencing, framing, all the things that you want your catcher to do to be elite defensively. He does that. And he also has really quality at bats at the plate. I feel like he's going to get going at some point in these playoffs if the Rangers keep on rolling through it. And if they get themselves to the World Series, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where Jonah Heim just absolutely turns it on, because he's had some quality at bats. He's had a few where he's gotten a little too swing happy and expanded the zone. But I mean, I think of this game, and I think of that at bat that ended up driving Grayson Rodriguez out of the game on last Sunday, where he had an 0-2 count. He had just swung through a fastball. He got a fastball out and outside the zone and up and away. And Evan Carter was sent on a hit and run, and the shortstop vacated the hole, and Jonah Heim put the good part of the bat on the ball, slapped it to the opposite field, drove in the run, got Evan Carter to third base, and got Grayson Rodriguez out of the game. Those kind of at-bats are what make this lineup so freaking good. Even though the numbers aren't gaudy for him, they're not gaudy for Semien, although Semien, I think, is just right there in terms of just about to turn it on. He hasn't had the best playoffs. He had some great defense, especially in that 9th inning. A phenomenal play to get to Kyle Tucker, a ball that was really weakly hit, and he charges it, and he gets it right out of his glove and into his hand, and he makes the throw, and he gets Kyle Tucker out in a very, very nervy 9th inning. I mean, this defense just time and time again with Evan Carter making a running play in left field. He's barely played left field and he makes it look so freaking easy. Having great defense as a team is such a huge benefit to the team. It's such a difference from what they did last year. And it is why they have won every single playoff game they have played this year. Oh my goodness. Imagine losing a playoff game in the year of our Lord 2023. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be my team. My team hasn't lost a playoff game since 2016. God, the Astros have lost so many playoff games since then. They're really good at it. Hope they can keep doing that. And the Rangers haven't lost a single ALCS yet in their franchise history. Hoping that streak continues. Rangers still have a lot of work to do. But hey, if they get another start like this from Jordan Montgomery, if they even get to Jordan Montgomery in a game 5, they are in good shape. And especially if their bullpen keeps holding up like this. Coming up, we'll look at what the bullpen and what Jordan Montgomery did so freaking well, what the Rangers need to do to keep rolling and take care of business in game 2. But first, let's word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. October baseball is back, and you can make your postseason debut with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join FanDuel today, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to create your new account. You betting that not Jordan Montgomery, that Nathan Eovaldi is going to throw an absolute gem against the Astros tomorrow? That is a bet that, has held up with his numbers. He's been fantastic in the postseason, and you're betting that the Rangers will go all the way and win the World Series. You can get in on the action at first pitch till the final out. And if you don't want to wait to see who for the whole game to see who gets W, you can predict what will happen in the next at bat with quick bets. So head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now. Step into the plate in the postseason with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Shout out to the Taveras making Locked On Rangers first listen every single day. On Tuesday's show, I'll be doing a bit of a mailbag, answering all of your questions about, hopefully, at that point, the still undefeated Texas Rangers in the playoffs. The Rangers take on the Astros in the game 2 of the ALCS tomorrow afternoon. You can catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, Jordan Montgomery, have yourself a freaking game. Oh my goodness, this guy is so incredibly good. Can you believe that the New York Yankees thought this guy wasn't good enough to be in their postseason rotation? Are you kidding me? It seems like they could sure use him pretty badly this year. Oh well, their loss is the Rangers' gain. The St. Louis Cardinals' loss is the Rangers' gain. And this guy is just absolutely outstanding. At 2.08 ERA in the postseason, 6 1/3 innings tonight, just 5 hits. I believe all of them were singles. There might have been one double sprinkled in there. Actually, nope. Not a single double sprinkled in there. Just 5 singles and 1 walk, 6 strikeouts for him. The guy was absolutely dealing in this one. He is so incredibly funky. And Jamie Newberg, who writes for D Magazine, has kind of coined him as new age Matt Harrison. I really like that comp. I think that's pretty accurate, because they're both just these big, tall lefties that get a bunch of ground balls, and they just really frustrate the heck out of you. You think, why can I not get to this guy? He's not throwing anything hard. Like, I should be able to get to this guy, and he just does not let you get into that. He just does not let you get away with that. He had 13 called strikes and 10 swings and misses in this one. By the way, Justin Verlander had just 7 swings and misses. So Jordan Montgomery, better strikeout pitcher than Justin Verlander? Well, I don't know about for all time, but for tonight, that was definitely the case. He was still mixing his stuff in very well. He had 33 sinkers tonight, 33 curveballs, 15 four-seamers, and 9 changeups in this one. The guy was just mixing and matching, hitting his spots, and living and dying. And my God, what he did to Jordan Alvarez, what the Rangers did to Jordan Alvarez, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. 3 of those strikeouts coming against Jordan Montgomery, against the guy who has been absolutely insane this entire postseason. Had 4 home runs in 4 games against the Twins. Just bonkers how good a hitter that guy is. And the Rangers kept him quiet. Jordan Montgomery kept him quiet, and Aroldis Chapman kept him quiet in the 8th inning. And this Rangers bullpen coming in and doing absolute work. I thought maybe Jordan Montgomery would get to go a little bit further in this one, but I think it was the right call. It's easy to second guess it in hindsight, but hey, it worked out. So there's no point second guessing it now. Taking him out after just 6 1/3 innings, he was only at 90 pitches thrown, had 60 strikes, so he was getting strikes and getting the Houston Astros to expand out of the zone, which is something they tend to do. They have not tended to strike out a whole bunch, but him getting 6 strikeouts in 6 1/3 innings of work was really darn good. Getting that weak contact, getting them to expand the zone, and working Jordan Alvarez. I mean, my God, the pitch sequencing to him was just absolute masterclass, using his curveball, using his sinker, getting it on the hands, going away, facing him 3 different times, getting him to strike out all 3 times and not having to pitch him the same way. That is what smart pitchers do. That is what great catchers do when they game plan, is they will not let you think, okay, all right, I saw how he threw me this time. Now he's going to do the exact same thing. Nope, we're going to switch it up on you. Oh, and he's got the arsenal to switch it up on you yet again and keep going through the order. I saw one of the Houston Astros beat writers say, oh, well, I think that maybe this might be Jordan Montgomery's day is done after about 4 innings. Like, he'd gone through the order 2 times. I don't think he's going to go through a 3rd time. And the Rangers did have guys warming in the pen, which I thought was kind of curious. They had Andrew Heaney warming early, got himself into a bases loaded jam, and got himself just right out of it. Fantastic work from him. Just a bunch of weekly hit singles. And thank you, Dusty Baker, for keeping Martin Maldonado in the lineup in this one. Fox just could not get enough talking about how, Martin Maldonado has had 4 at-bats against Jordan Montgomery. He's got a couple of homers and a double, so therefore he must see him really, really well. No, I mean, hitter against pitcher statistics are completely overblown. That's a sample size of 4 at-bats. That does not mean he has something up on him. And today, in this game, he did work a walk, but he also worked a strikeout in a huge bases-loaded jam. And the difference in this game and between these offenses is the Rangers' number 9 hitter went 2 for 2 with a walk and a home run, and the Astros' number 9 hitter went 0 for 1 with a strikeout, a walk, and then pinch hit Yainer Diaz comes in and grounds out. So again, it's just one game, but we have seen this time and time again. The number 7, 8, and 9 hole hitters in this lineup coming through, the middle of the order coming through. But I mean, the top of the order didn't do a whole lot. I mean, Marcus Semien, 0 for 4. Corey Seager, 1 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. Mitch Garver, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Adolis Garcia, 0 for 4 with no strikeouts. Evan Carter, 1 for 4 with a double and a run scored and a strikeout. But still, this lineup, so incredibly deep, so incredibly talented. And Jordan Montgomery, you got to tip your cap. This guy just keeps coming through for these Rangers when they need him most. Would like for the Rangers to get him a little bit more run support that kind of split the difference. The first game against Tampa Bay, they scored him 4 runs. Then the next game against the Orioles, they scored him 11 runs. And this game, they scored him just 2, and he's like, all right, and give me whatever you can give me, and I will get you through as much as I can get you through. And 6 1/3 innings was enough. Josh Sborz coming in, getting a couple outs. I'm glad they had him come on to stay on in the 8th to face Jose Altuve, just because, I mean, I know I literally just said that pitcher versus batter matchups don't normally mean a whole lot, but that's more the case when it's it's Martin Maldonado versus Jordan Montgomery. When it's Jose Altuve versus Aroldis Chapman in the place where he has done this in the ALCS, where he has done this against this specific pitcher, that's a little bit different. And yeah, I know Sborz walked him to a very questionable ball 4 call. I feel like the baseball gods rewarded the Rangers with some karma for that not great strike zone, not great ball 4 call that put Jose Altuve on instead of giving him a full count, which maybe he still would have walked after that because Sborz can be erratic at times. But still, I mean, he hit his spot and he should have gotten that call. And Verlander getting that strike 3 call on Josh Young, it really bothered me because, if he frames it well, if he was trying to throw there and then he gets that call, then fine. But he missed his spot completely. And when old pitchers get bailed out on those kind of calls, it's just really, really frustrating. It makes it very difficult for young hitters. I mean, we saw the next at bat, Josh Young saw, I believe it was 5 or 6 pitches. They were all breaking balls low and out of the zone, right around where that terrible strike 3 called against him was. And he really didn't have much of a choice but to expand the zone. But hey, this Rangers bullpen came in and they held. Aroldis Chapman did his job. He got the outs. I mean, he was very much helped out by Evan Carter and some base running error, a base running error by Jose Altuve. But hey, Jose Leclerc comes in, gets a perfect inning, gets a couple of 3-ball counts, gets a little bit nerve-wracking there. But hey, he did his job. Seeing him strut out there onto the mound and just pump himself up. I swear he still looks like he's like 11 years old, but he's about to turn 30 in about a month or a couple of months, however long the way December is. I have no frame of reference for time right now. But Jose Leclerc coming through yet again. He's got a 1.50 ERA in the postseason. Josh Sborz has an ERA of 0 in the postseason. Aroldis Chapman this year has an ERA of 0 in the postseason. This Rangers bullpen that was, terrible, was awful, had so many bad games and bad games here specifically. I mean, I think back to a game in Houston, the final series where the Rangers lost 2 1-run games. And I believe they had leads in both of those games where the bullpen just straight up blew it, including a 3-run lead in, I believe, the 7th inning where they brought in Aroldis Chapman and Chas McCormick hit him for a 3-run homer where the Rangers ended up blowing that game. That was that series that was very contentious back and forth with the replay that keeps being shown of the Rangers getting in the Astros' face in the game where they absolutely crushed the Astros. That was great. Hopefully we can see another game like that in Houston. Hopefully that will be the last game played in Houston this year. That would be great. And we get to see another Adolis Garcia grand slam. Martin Maldonado getting mad online in real life, except it's just mad in real life because it's not, baseball games aren't really played online. It's just the rest of us that are chronically online. But still, what a way to get the job done in game 1. Get greedy. Keep winning. Don't stop winning. The Rangers have won 6 straight playoff games. Make it 7. Make it 8. Make it 9. Heck, make it 13. Keep winning. Do not let up. Keep this momentum up. You got out of there, and it feels like the Rangers have finally stolen some wins. Throughout the regular season, there were so many wins that the Rangers just goofed away. There were not a whole lot of games where the Rangers ended up coming out on top, and you look back and you think, wow, the Rangers kind of stole that one. Game 1 in the ALDS kind of felt like that, where the bullpen held. It was a low-scoring game. The Rangers got to the game 1 starter enough, and the bullpen held, and the starting pitching did its job. That was another game like this. The Rangers kind of stole. I mean, they could have gotten to Verlander for a lot more, and it's not that they didn't earn it, but it kind of felt like, oh, I wasn't really sure they're going to pull this one out, but they freaking did. Now, follow the script from the last series. Go in game 2, knock the crap out of the starter in Framber Valdez. You got some beef against him, air that beef out. Go nuts against him. I talked about this on the crossover with Locked On Astros boys on Saturday. I thought, game 2 kind of feels like a game where Marcus Semien might just plop one into the Crawford boxes to lead off the game because he just really does not like Framber Valdez. And I would love to see him do that. I would love to see the Rangers take game 2 in whatever way they can, whether it's a blowout, whether it's a close win. The Rangers are still undefeated in the freaking playoffs. 3 more wins to get to the World Series, 7 more wins to win the dang thing. And I think this team just might do the whole thing that they've never done before. Thank you all so much for joining me live or listening later. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy ALCS Texas Rangers baseball.